After some reading, by which I mean about 20 minutes of reading followed by a nap for a couple hours, or at least an hour, I don't know, and then going out another 10 minutes of reading out on the porch. It's still Wednesday, kind of mid-afternoon, and getting to be later in the afternoon because of the time of year. Here we are in 1742. What's happened so far? Other than blundering around with the rules and the cards. In terms of storyline, the Prussians seized Silesia, but you can see Traun came back with a nasty campaign in the fall, slicing Frederick off on his own there. But then there was a early winter campaign by the French. First Belle-Île came in, and then there was an early winter campaign by the French, which pushed, got kind of stymied. Belle-Île got screwed in terms of advancing into Freiburg, but the Bavarians sliced forward. They had actually sieged Vienna, but got driven back because early winter sends you back home. Was it early winter? No, it was a fall campaign event card inspired thing. The early winter campaign, when did that happen? Did that happen? No. Somebody's holding a late winter card. We'll see how that goes. Now, in the New Year's phase, what did we do? We moved the turn marker. We're going to have to remove the FOW chits and figure out a way to shuffle them. I don't have a cup here, but there's only 3 of each. I don't really trust any randomization that's that small. Place reinforcement leaders, demote Conti in 46, and deploy fleet sections. So this is the time that any fleet sections that we have, I guess, in the spring reinforcements box get placed. We're going to improve our situation up here to 8. I'm surprised the English have one as well. Yeah. And the English, I'll put a 4 up here so that they maintain their lead. Leader-wise, this is 42. We've got some leaders to place. Let's look at player order. I think Spain will go in Prussia's turn. I'm going to have Gages. He's going to be, I guess, put in charge of the largest Spanish force. Chuck E. Cheese. I could put him anywhere. Now, the problem is he's better than Niegperg, so I'm going to put him over here in charge of the largest force there. That gets changed in the spring anyway. And for the French, I have Noailles and Darcourt. Darcourt is useless, except as a subordinate leader who lets me carry more troops with me. Having good subordinates is not necessarily important. I'll just put him here. We actually don't have enough leaders for Bad Boy to move, so, right? No, it's 20 and 12. Okay, so it doesn't actually matter. But again, I'll have the opportunity to shift those around. So I think that's everything there. We hit a supply segment, and nobody is going to be out of supply at this point. I'll actually be doing the Prussians first. Okay, the big thing here is whether or not anyone has a campaign card. If they don't have a campaign card, nothing's going to happen, and I'll go through the players. Well, Prussia obviously doesn't. I think Austria does, and I have reasons I might want to do it. Namely, I kind of want to knock Frederick out of the war if I can. I have this surprise offensive, may only be played in the late winter season. It's basically the same, 3 CPs for AU bonus activation, which is the same as the card would give me otherwise. So what am I going to do? Well, Traun has the Army of Lorraine right now. Can he move the whole thing? He's got a star, so probably. Oh, he's got tons of leaders too. So he has some 14 strength points. I'm going to activate him with one of the 3 points. And then I don't actually have to leave anybody in Breslau, so I can march out with the entire force. You might say that's not wise, but there are reasons. I want as many troops as I can have. Frederick could try to withdraw to Glatz, and then could he keep withdrawing into Silesia? Yeah, he'll fight. What the hell? Okay. So let's find Frederick's army here, and let's find the combat process. And again, you know, this is not on any kind of player aid card or anything. If you had to put all the stuff that you needed to access in the game, you would basically have to put a shit ton of stuff in. Where's battles? Interception, withdrawal. Here we go. Okay. So I had 8 points. I spent 1 to move in. I have to spend 1 to attack. We total the points. We're looking at below 30 in both cases, which means that. Means the leftmost column. Determine army battle ratings. Those are going to be, let's figure them. Both start with a 4. Traun is going to force, because he has the better initiative, he's going to force Frederick to be the attacker here, which means that he gets 7 to 6. So the Austrians are going to have a +1 to begin with. Where's... no, that's down here. No modifiers. Day of battle card. We roll a die. It's number 3. It's a land battle, small size. Infantry slaughter. Ask please 2 DRM to the side with a higher army rating, or both sides if their army ratings are identical. So this is interesting. It doesn't say army battle rating, it says army rating. So we're now looking at +3 and +2 for the two dice differences. Battle cards. Prussia has no cards. Austria does not have the kind of card they want. Go over here. We're not going to do every battle throughout the game, so we're looking at an 8 and a 7. That's 15% across the line. Okay. Oh, cav bonus possible. Did Traun have a cav bonus? No, neither side has double the cav. Okay, so with 10 strength points, the Austrians are going to take 2 hits. And 15%, this is the Army of Lorraine, right? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 strength points. I don't know what. Okay, they're also going to take 2. So both sides take 2 hits. I'll allocate that. That's going to be a draw in battle, which I think hits both with a warn marker. Where maintaining forcible becomes a pain, especially when I've got counters way down there. So, especially if I'm going to do this. So Prussia has to lose 2 of these. I can do this perfectly fine. I have 6 here and 4 here, so that works out just peachy. And then for the Austrians, for the Lorraine army, it also will lose 2. That's going to be kind of painful. So I got to end up with 9 here and 2 extra there. Bah, bah, bah. Traun can fight 2 more times, so I'm going to just keep going. I'm not going to report on everything, but oh, we screwed up, didn't we? No, we added those big die roll modifiers. But yeah, we'll get other day of battle rolls, etc. The warn marker, that reduces both sides, what? I know it's going to reduce their army battle rating, essentially. Oh, it doesn't tell me there. It tells me down here. It has a negative DRM if attacking or defending. So actually the casualties are just going to start slipping lower and lower is what's going to happen, because it doesn't actually affect the ABR like I thought it did. So they're not comparatively staying the same. What's happening is both armies are fighting less, which makes sense. What feels weird about this is that Traun is able to continually keep forcing Frederick to attack. That just feels strange. I understand in the first round of combat that he's able to slide into place and, you know, position himself in a place where Frederick has to do something to attack, but I'm not sure it's as easy to explain that Frederick can't, I don't know, avoid it somehow. Like, because Traun could just stop spending points and he wouldn't be forcing Frederick to continue attacking. And I'm trying to think of an attacking situation where somehow the defender is just continually doing something. Now, it may be that the defender's not falling back away, but again, that kind of doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense. I think it's, yeah, you know, I don't know. It's something we didn't expect here. Maneuver. Add 1 subordinate leader DRM for each side. So Traun, wherever the hell he is, now has a defense of 4, I guess. And Frederick is able to use Schwerin and actually tie the overall value, which means that the modifier between the 2 is at 0. I'm only zooming in because this card's a little different. But now also we have the warn modifier. So both sides are at -1. And that's going to be a 10% and a 10%. The chart has these little interesting breaks, right? So I think we're probably going to see another tie and warn -2 markers show up. When I get to those casualties, I should be making leader loss checks for each side, for each of these is considered a battle, even though it kind of feels like rounds in a battle. So let's do Prussia first. Okay, and then Austria. Okay. And now I apply the 10% battle losses, and then roll those dice again. This is something I'm kind of annoyed by, although there's no way around it. There are just warn -1 counters, so half of them have -3 on the other side, or something. So I gotta hunt for the -2s on that other side, and I don't know, just be annoyed. I would rather have seen warn -3 counters with demoralize on the other side. Maybe they're demoralized on the back of some of the warn -1s. I don't remember seeing such. Indeed there are. Yeah, I would much rather have, I don't know, maybe so rare that you get, but it just, this may have been a better configuration in terms of getting all the things. So, after leader loss checks, both sides lost 1 point. Traun is going to keep pushing his luck here and continue into a 3rd round of fighting. I gotta count my points, make sure I'm tracking this right. So I started at 8, 7 to move in, 6 for the first battle, 5, I should be here. That's what I thought. All right, we got the same card, and this time the Prussians rolled shitty. But maybe not shitty enough. Oh, I thought I rolled worse. I thought I was at 5%. Okay, but we're at -2 on the die rolls now. Remember, that card means we're at a base of 0. So -2 puts me at a 1 for 5%, and he's at 10%. So I think the Prussians are actually going to lose this round and have to retreat to Glatz, and they may be kind of fucked up because of that. Because, or they could retreat into Niesa, because they're going to be small enough, which may be a wiser thing to do because it's a heavier fortress. Net effect after this battle is a Warn -3 on Traun, because even though he won, he has a Warn marker, so his units are getting more and more tired. And a demoralized, we don't need the marker because we have a leader. Those demoralized counters are going to be pretty damn rare. Now comes the question of, does that Warn do anything on sieges? Because I get a rally segment with the Austrians and, you know, don't have to really worry about much. If something happens. Now, I'm doing a winter campaign. 6.1.2. It feels like that should have actually cost me something. I didn't do it in the last winter campaign either. Did I have another one? Yeah, I may have done it with the Prussian initial one. 6.122. No, that's wider in late war. That's not what I'm looking for. Well, I was looking at wider, not winter war, wider war. Yeah, I don't see anything. Force intercepting in winter has to pay. I don't think I take winter attrition for the winter campaign. Interesting. Okay. And I have no penalty for the siege as far as I can tell. So, what does that mean? Well, I don't know if Traun has enough forces to siege. Because he's got a lot of cav with him. I bet you see, there it is. Okay. So, siege and blockade. When blockaded or besieged, a force cannot leave unless it fights a battle. Yeah, this is not what we're talking about here. We're looking at the requirements for a siege. Blockade requirements, and the activated command has minimum number of SPs to conduct a siege and enough APs to make at least one siege roll. Well, we have that. So let's look at blockade. No enemy force with more than 25% remains in the space outside the fortress. We've chased him into the fortress. The blockading force has at least 5 SPs for a major, 10 for a minor, 10 for a major. I have 8, 9, 10, 11, so I match that. But infantry must outnumber cavalry. That is also the case. So I am allowed to siege. Which means that we will go ahead with that. But let me talk a little bit about, so Prussia has different options here before the siege is decided on. I've decided to defend in Niesa. I could have retreated back to Glatz. Doing so, I could have put like a strength in Niesa or whatever, and that would be fine. But let's say I do that. Oh, he still has a Warn -2 marker on him as well. Not that it matters much, but let's say I march into Glatz, and that would cost me 1 command point. Now it's a minor fortress. It only costs me 1 command point to siege, and there's lesser chances. I'm not happy with this. I think there's a fair chance that Frederick may get captured here. which would probably be pretty bad. Okay, so since this is such an important siege, let's take a look at it. I have no siege markers to begin with. Let's see what my die rolls. I have a siege marker value, no. French besieging, no. It's a major fortress, so I'm at -1. It's a major fortress with a garrison of 4 or more SPs. I guess it's cumulative because it's not a -2. So yeah, that gets me to a -2. It has a named leader. That brings me to -3. The besieging force is not demoralized. It's warned, but that's okay. So that puts me at -3 on the table. Do I want to even do this shit? I think so, because it's such a big deal. I get only 2 shots though. So a -3, I have a 50-50 chance of getting a +1 siege marker. Okay. Let's go for it. Because then at -2, I would have a chance of honors at war. I'm not going to get a breach. It may just not be worth it. It may just not be worth it. Because I am going to have to go home, right? Winter quarters evicted. I'm actually not so sure. I think this late winter allows me to keep the siege going. Okay, we'll do it. I already paid the points, and we said I was at -3. That gets me a 2. I get a +1 siege marker. And now I'm at -2, and I'll put this up. I actually kind of don't want the honors of war. I want to capture Frederick there. He gets a 2. That gets me a +1 siege marker. So now I'm up to a +2 siege marker. As spring started early here. I'm going to leave this like this because I have to fiddle with some stuff. That was one of my points. I still have 2. Now Chucky here is expensive to move, but better leader. However, I have the army of Italy under Kevin-Hüller. Kevin-Hüller's army of Italy, which feels like it should be up there, but it's down here, has only 11 strength points, but that's enough for me to push into Glotz, or maybe pick on the Bavarians down here. So I've got a lot of different choices. There, I'd be in pretty good shape against that. Down here, I'd be in pretty good shape against that. Well, he's the one I'm activating. So I'll take the 7 points. And let me think a little bit. Well, I got me a problem. Look here. Okay. If I capture a fortress with 4 more captured SP, the siege is a major victory, giving a victory point and a cost of monarchical will. There's no monarchical will loss for taking anybody's capital. There doesn't seem to be much effect for taking anybody's capital. Now, Ingolstadt is the supply source for the Bavarians, so taking that would definitely cause them some serious issues. So that would be my goal in that term. I'm not sure I see much to moving up against the Prussians. There's old Dessauer here, who has a fairly significant force, is a quality commander, etc. Charles might be able to slow him down. I don't feel like this small force will be able to do that. What is the major victory in combat. Major victory. If it lost, yeah, so it would have to be a big force. Just taking out whoever this is, Scheckendorf, yeah. Why is this guy in charge of the largest force? He started out with it. I don't know. Whatever. Scheckendorf there, you know, maybe I could take him out, and that would be a big move. I think that's my best move, is to go after the Bavarians. And I have a lot of points. So I can come I could actually tempt this guy, but it's going out of my way. So 1, 2, 3 to here. Now we want to leave a strength point from the army of Italy. Yeah, gotta make change. Even do it because I'd be moving out of supply to get there. Whereas I wouldn't be moving out of supply to attack here at Passau. Now Passau is an important location. I don't know what I want to do anymore. That's the problem. The supply limitations are hitting me here, where they haven't been hitting me so far in the game. But I don't have any opportunity to... The supply segment here doesn't give me any opportunity, like the initial supply segments here do, to move things forward. So, yeah, that's just not going to be an option. Which means maybe heading this way isn't my best move. I could pick up a subordinate there, and I don't know. I don't know what to do. I know I need to swap batteries and things. One thing I like, the trash truck that's coming today is picking up the bottles. It's a very noisy operation. That used to happen early in the morning. Now, it wasn't terrible. When I remember it happening, I was awake. Probably wouldn't wake me up, but I could see it waking up a lot of people. I'm a lot happier. Basically, I think they use the same truck. I'm not sure what they do. They basically use one truck picks up the recycling stuff, and then another one comes by and gets the bottles, because there would be this loud bottle crashing sound, and I thought that was the recycling truck and they would take both things. They didn't. So like, one truck comes by for the regular trash, one comes by for the recycling. It's nice that this is coming by later in the day, at least on my street, because, again, I don't think it bothered me at all, but I can definitely imagine the amount of noise that this is making compared to the other trash trucks, which, you know, aren't smashing a bunch of bottles at the same time. Anyway, I'm still thinking about what the hell to do here. The thing that was important about it, actually, was that, you know, I would go down. It's like, I don't know, maybe 3:30 in the afternoon or something. I would go down there at like 1 or 2, and they've collected everything except the recycling. Now, I like to pull my 2 garbage cans up at the same time. I don't really care so much about the bottle bin, but the recycling and garbage can I kind of like to have up here, because I throw things in them regularly. The bottles, I put my bottles out, you know, I never do anymore, actually, because I'm running out of paper cups, so I'm using the glass jars and stuff. I'm cleaning them out just as I would, maybe a little better, for the recycling bin, and then taking them on my walks to the bar. Thing to note, if this was a little closer, not here, I think it would have to be here, I could do a stab down, grab that, and then utilize that as my supply source and advance forward. So there is some risk to this being here, but not a hell of a lot. It's it's too deep in Bavarian territory for it to have any real use for the Austrians. So I've decided to march down this way, and the Bavarians are going to attempt to withdraw from Linz. They don't have a leader, but on a 4 or more they can manage to do so. They do not. I have odds sufficient enough, it's like 4 to 1 or whatever, that I can simply overrun them and kill them. So they go here, and that would be 2 French Bavarian total points gone, and Austria gets 2 of their total back for taking that. And now I can march on Passau and see what we can do there. You know, I looked here and I'm like, oh, I don't have supply. I have supply coming from Vienna. So the battle card had no effect. We easily won because we have an army rating of 4. The Bavarians only have a 2, plus we have a good leader. We basically took a hit and did 2. I think I'm withdrawing now that I'm small enough into Passau itself. This is iffy because, well, he can't keep pushing on. He doesn't have the supply range. So he's going to open up a siege on it. But there's a danger I could lose the entire Bavarian army because he has a lot of command points to spend on the siege. There are some advantages, though. On the siege table, it's got a garrison of 4 or more strength points, and it's got a named leader. So there's a -2 on the siege roll. But actually, I could be sieging this with less troops than are inside if he chose to defend that way. I do not have a warn marker because I won the first round of the battle and didn't pick one up. It was a successful attack. I take Passau. That's going to give Austria another victory point and take a victory point away from the Bavarians. They have not gained anything anymore, and Austria is beginning to make up some of their losses with the gains that they have. I still have 1 point left. I am going to march the army of Italy, but I have to leave a garrison, because otherwise I would just lose Passau's victory point. And I'm going to march and I'm going to capture this French depot. And now there's an Austrian depot there, which I just get. I don't have to... No, that's my last Austrian depot. When do I remove my depots? I think it's here. Depot removal, yeah. Oh well. No huge gain. But whatever. It appealed to me to do that. And Munich's under threat. It's their capital. I don't think that makes a damn bit of difference. If I look at the minor powers, there's a geopolitical minor powers section that says capitals are in parentheses. I don't remember them having any effect. Minor powers 7.8. Again, keeping everything in mind is really hard. Powers capitals noted in parentheses. I don't think that there's anything that happens. I don't know if I added the fucking points. So, Saxony's in the war, but Bavaria's also in the war. I don't think I gave France the 3 points for Bavaria. Given that they have no points on their total, I think they should have gained that. Because these Bavarian cities are available to be taken from France, Bavaria. But I don't think the capital is of any importance. I think there's just the one rule on capitals, 20.2, which is the major power capitals and the special rules that pertain to those. So yeah. I don't know. And this is on the Austrian side of things. That used up all my points for this card, which puts me to the rally segment when I get to remove my warn marker. Traun has a siege. I'm going to leave this warn here because, oh no, the Prussians do not get to recover that anytime soon. They get a rally segment or anything in there? No. So, I think we've gained a lot off that winter campaign. And now we hit the winter quarters evicted. Forces evicted from winter quarters get a free 2. Now, this is weird because, like, I'm able to move around outside winter quarters, like start my campaign early in the late winter, whatever. I don't think I'm ever forced to go back home. I'm not evicted from my winter quarters, right? I wouldn't think so. If due to an enemy winter campaign a force was evicted, it can spend during the friendly power turn. So like Prussians that got evicted by Austrians wouldn't get to go because the player order is no good. So they would take an activation. This may have something to do with the quality of the armies and whatnot. I'm not sure. The Spaniards, of course, have like the best army in the game. Well, the English do too. And they go late. The Spaniards and the French turn and them there. So I don't think anything happens here. That's going to put us on the French, who I doubt have a winter quarters, and the British, who are not belligerent. If that's the case, we move to the depot removal, and all the depots come off the board, and they're just destroyed. Luckily, we have some backup ones to place, because we may need some of these. The Austrians have a shit ton of depots, so that they have because they start off with a lot of them on the board, so that they have a very flexible ability to respond to what happens in that first turn. Everybody else has some, maybe more than they would normally have. I'm not seeing too much need for the amount of depots that the Austrians had in particular. Holy Roman Empire. Charles VII has not been made Holy Roman Emperor. Why not? I don't know. I have a card for it. Why didn't I? That's this. I have to own Munich, Passau, and Frankfurt. Well, I didn't manage to make it to Frankfurt, and I got booted out of Passau now. The reason why not, I haven't reached the requirements. Maybe if Belial had been played in the summer campaign when he first could have been played, but, like, I don't know. Like, there's no other time. There's no time before the summer campaign. This is what makes it worse. Like, there's no campaign turn that the French could have done anything in with that card before the summer campaign card. They could have played it then. As far as I'm concerned, they should have been allowed to play it whenever the fuck they want. Like, there should not be a restriction on it. The fact, it's not simply the fact that I'm making the mistake of spring versus summer in my head, but also the fact that that it had a restriction, cannot be played before what was basically the first time in the game when it could have had any effect. Which, you know, why have a restriction? Well, why have can be played when neutral when it is meaningless? Why have, which is beginning, you know, which I'm leaning towards but I'm not playing as, why have colors on the card, on the seals on the card, if they have no effect? Which is so far what everything seems to be pointing to. But I'm just clinging with my little claws to say, wait a minute, you know, the French shouldn't be able to like those Spanish cards, they should have to use some of the points. I can see if they want to use French cards for Spain's effect, but I'm really not happy that they can use the Spanish cards for French valuation, troop movements and whatnot, and just leave Spain completely screwed. Because winning the game, well, it's a mutual Bourbon combined value. You know what's interesting is if you get the automatic decisive victory, I don't know if one side wins, if one player wins beyond another. The only way that one player wins beyond another is if you don't have the automatic victory. All the other victory conditions cause you to look at a chart and compare the different players on the different sides. Now, for the campaign, I don't remember what we had an ending. Okay, it's based on Monarch's will, which is really hard to reduce. Really fucking hard. Like, we've had cards move them around. That's about it. So, where does that put me then? That puts me in the end phase. We advance the season marker. There isn't one. Remove all CH that are not stacked with AU. Remove all gonorrhea. And we'll be up at the reinforcement stage. This took a lot longer than I expected again. I'm going into more detail than I want to. Oh wait, the Bavarians went after the Austrians, so they would actually get a rally segment. So I flipped them over. I do not flip the Prussians over though. Shouldn't be an issue, because they get a turn, but here's the thing. If I wanted to activate Freddy for some reason, he would have to rally his forces and come out. Now, he's not going to be able to save himself. I'm going to have to bring old Dessau or whatever, or, oh God, or maybe the Saxons in order to fight to take this. And that might be difficult because now there are fortresses. You know, Tron was able to slip around behind and catch Freddy with his pants down. So he's in a lot of trouble there. But as usual, I'll take a nice break here because maybe you won't see me until night because raid is coming up and I kind of want to read some more, maybe sleep some more, whatever. There's something a little weird here. Trying to see. Yes, the attrition FOW. That deducts approximately 10% of your forces, regardless of where they are, whatever, as long as they're in major armies. However, under reinforcement SPs, which I'm in the reinforcement stage, I'm about to start doing that, and I wanted to look up to see if there was anything special here. Neutral powers do not receive reinforcements, however, France may receive additional SPs due to a successful treasure voyage. Wow! So, the nations that are at peace will lose their armies, but they do not get their reinforcements. Shit, I seem to have them off. That's not cool. That's going to be really fucking annoying. But anyhow, yeah, that's really bothersome because the FOW chit is, again, it's going to delete a big portion of your forces. Unless you spread them out completely all over the map or something, which, you know, Spain, for example, can't even do. Troublesome, troublesome. That's all I have to say. I forgot to remove this depot. But they have to basically pay a card to get depots of forces as well. This force would really melt away without a depot. So at some point or another, you know, I've got one depot available, right? Ugh. Oh, you've also got to kind of watch stuff. There's weird things here. Like, here it says control Breslau or -5 SPs per year. I collected up my points for Prussia. You know, again, working through all this. There's nothing marked here that talks about that. France has certain specials if Paris is controlled. Must control Antwerp. Yeah, that's already there. The Paris is not in there. I kind of feel like every major power should have some kind of penalty for their capital being taken. It seems relatively minor across the board. Is there a special rule on Prussia somewhere? Yeah, 7.2. Maybe it says something about this and I just missed it. Convention of Hanover. No. I don't know anywhere where it talks about this, but it says something here, and I'm going to follow it. Oh, by the way, Bob Kolakowski did get back to my final question. I don't know if I mentioned this. And apparently, these little color seals mean nothing for points. I think I already said this, but I don't like it. But that's how I'll play it from now on. If the French want to play points, they can allocate them to Spain if they wish, but they can choose to completely starve the Spanish player out of the game. Obviously, they can't allocate them to Prussia. Prussia's cards and points are their own. Prussia can't allocate them to Spain. They can't help the Spaniards in any way. So if Prussia's neutral, which they are for much of the game, they will not be able to. That is how the rules are written. I can't disagree with it. I don't like it. You know, I was left with this strong disbelief that Spain was that pinned down. They also have the question about the treasure fleet, if it's really French or if it's the Spanish treasure and the French control that. Anyway, Breslau is of particular importance because, hey, we lost that already. So there go 5 of my reinforcements that I was due to get. So all I get is 2 infantry and a cav. Where am I allowed to place reinforcements? I think only in my home country, but I want to... That's what I was busy trying to look up. Yeah, it depends on who you are. Minor powers get SPs? Yeah, I don't know about that. I'll have to keep an eye out here. Like, I've got an Army Max here. But no points accumulating for them. I don't think I can, like, use English SPs. I don't think I can use the English builds to affect Hanover, etc. A minor power cannot receive reinforcements if its capital is occupied. Okay. What's a minor power? Like Piedmont, I think, is not a minor power. I'm not sure. I'd have to look at minor powers, which was in the geopolitical section. Is it in that list? Right? So that list is Bavaria, Saxony, Italian theater, no, which has nothing to do with any of these. Naples, Genoa, and Modena. Holy Roman Empire in Germany, which is not a minor power. Okay, I don't know. But Piedmont, I think, is a major power. They have their own little slot here. They must be major, right? I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, Spain doesn't have a deck. Are they a minor power? That would be the similar argument. At least Piedmont has its own cards. It's equally unmentioned. The Austrians, if Breslau is held after 1741, plus 5 reinforcements per year. This is the 1742 reinforcement turn. So between the British subsidies and our base value of forces, which I haven't even added, that's 2 Austrian infantry, and the points that I bought, I have a fucking huge pile. 20 infantry, 2 cav, a depot. I just have a huge force to throw in. Prussia's doomed, man. Prussia is doomed at this point. I think the Austrians are just going to win the war. Significant worry. I have to get Britain into the war. I've worked my reinforcements for everyone else so far. Well, not Piedmont yet. They're on the same card. I shifted some points to change things a little bit. I must put them all in London. I've got, because there's some other role that I had to flip to before I flip to this one. Just checking to make sure everything is right, that everything's supposed to go there. But if I have more than 8 SP in England total at the end of an early winter campaign, I lose a victory point. So I don't have to take my reinforcements if it comes to that, but I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to exchange these 2 for another cav. That'll drop me to 6, but I'm getting close when I place these to the maximum size that I can have without losing victory points. Of course, I don't have a depot here, and this is going to be a large force. I'm going to have to build a depot in London because this is going to be a large force. So, I'm going to have to start expending cards just like Spain is and losing a depot every turn and everything. Actually, I don't get any reinforcements. I'm not belligerent. Oh, that's fun. So those cards I played are unimportant. The ones I played to build me armies, I actually don't get them, right? Neutral powers do not receive reinforcements. How about that? Alright, so I shouldn't have paid for those. Hey, I'm great. Everything's fine. Piedmont's still neutral too, so I don't have to calculate theirs either, right? Right? Spain is not neutral now, so I don't have to really worry about their situation. Britain is the one neutral, non-belligerent in the game, I think. Right? Wait, did I say Spain? England and Piedmont are the 2 non-belligerents in the game who I have to actually worry about that they may have too many troops. But neither one gets any reinforcements no matter what. The only thing that generates reinforcements appears to be the French treasure fleet. I can't buy them with cards. I can't do a damn thing. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah. Yep. So the Spanish army, I mean, eventually it'll melt down to being less than a major force, and then it won't take attrition anymore. So at least there's that. If it's stuck here, unable to become belligerent for some reason or another. Is this all because Belle-Île didn't come in? I don't know. He certainly would have been putting more pressure in if he had come in a turn early. Well, really, he would have been coming in 2 turns early because I would have brought him in here during the campaign segment, during the summer turn, and instead I brought him in. No, he would have been coming in here, so it would have just been 1 turn early. Okay, fine, whatever, I don't know. But, yep, the little red text gets in my way and may spoil the game. Okay, so it could be possible that the only thing you don't get reinforcements for is your automatics, and if you spend cards and whatnot, you get some. But, whatever. Redeployment. Belligerents may redeploy all leaders and 5 SPs and then conduct a free admin march. Because of how this is phrased, it says all belligerent powers. Where was it? Each belligerent power may redeploy all its leaders and up to 5 SPs. I don't know if power is defined anywhere. I don't think so. There's power order, which is those, player order. Okay, let's look. 4.0.1. The powers act in the following order. Okay. Do we have a definition of what a power is? Because what I was going to do was I was going to redeploy both Old Dessau and the Saxon commander. But I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can do that. It's kind of necessary because I need the Saxons, although that'll make a multi-national force. I need the Saxons to be able to command more than 20 strength points, because all my Prussian leaders are stuck down here. And that ain't no good. That ain't no good at all. So I actually can't move more than a 20-factor force under him. Of course, Frederick can come out and support, and maybe we'll end up breaking the siege of Niesa by Traun. But Traun's good, man. So I don't think I can do that. Power, again, it's not defined anywhere that I know of. But power order, I'm used to there being like a glossary of terms and everything that would tell me. We got the nationality. So here, okay, so now we got something weird here. Each space begins the game under the control of a power denoted in the map by its color. And then they have talks about main power versus allies. Let's look in the geopolitical section. See if that defines what a power is. Might be back upstairs. Looking in the... Where's the fucking geopolitics? God damn it. Okay, it's not in the index, but it is here, right? Powers and geopolitics, 12. Powers and geopolitics. Okay, let's see. Does it define what a power is? I think the powers are the main players. No, minor powers. Okay, so to me that says I can move the Saxons. I'm going to look upstairs to see if there's a question on this and an answer. I doubt it, but you know, I haven't been on a walk in a few minutes. See any clarifications or anything of power in this particular usage that say they just mean major power. So indeed the Saxons were able to redeploy there using their, what the hell is it? Now I can't remember. They get a free admin march, which is like 6 movement points or 4 movement points or something like that. In either case, it's enough to get both forces here, get Old Dessau, whatever his name really is, with his forces in place to contest the Austrians. He has to do it before the Austrians get to move. Honestly, it was pretty clear from the rules, and unlike with the card seals, that I really wanted to be changed and I really thought was wrong. This was more of a, it's quite possible. Like, when rules are this bad and have this many issues with them, it's quite possible something else was meant. But I doubt that anybody would ask a question on it. Although me going up there, I don't know. Some people I'm sure might have. Because if I had the energy to be questioning it enough to say, hey, I need a load in my pipe, I'm willing to go up and check, turn on my computer and take a look. Yeah, I think a lot of people would actually ask it. I would have no, this is not something I have any qualms about, though, really. I think this is how it's intended. It's just, I've got a little bit of not trusting anything in the game at this point. So yeah, so that's the Prussian redeployment. Let's go to the Austrians. They have to think real hard because the Spaniards are in the war now and might start engaging. I built some troops in Italy, not a whole hell of a lot, but because I wanna smash the Bavarians and take on the French before I worry too much about the Spaniards, but we don't know for sure. Wasn't able to do anything funky with my leaders for Austria before, I think. But my largest force in the German theater, I was starting to shift things around, is actually this force, which I was putting brown in. That's 7 strength points. This is 2, 4, 5 strength points. Okay. So I'm going to have to put a starred leader there instead of brown. And I'll put brown up here in Prague. I've still got a loose extra leader that I don't know what to do with. I'll put him down here to defend Vienna. Because it's relatively easy to replace a leader. Charles is in charge of my largest force. He's my 2-star leader. That fulfills the highest ranking leader present in a force must be the senior leader. Yeah, it's more than that. In each of the 3 theaters, the largest force must be commanded by a 2-star leader if available, if not a 1-star leader. So I have to have a 1-star leader here and in Germany, the Netherlands, France. That's all one theater, okay? It looks like France is something different, but it's not. It's part of that same theater, which means that putting him in would work. Now, this force isn't big enough. So yeah, so this is my best situation that I can do. So I have a pretty good leader here in Bavaria. I would have rather had Brown there. He has a smaller force than he had before in Prague, but whatever. And actually I might have been, no, I wasn't at a penalty because I started in Austria, in the Austrian theater, but I would have been in a penalty if I had an extra move. If I activated Brown, actually it wasn't Brown who was there anyway. It was this guy. He was in my Italian theater. I've got Loblowitz or whatever. Didn't I have somebody worse? Lobkowitz is down here in Italy. I should have another shitty leader. I thought I had another shitty leader. I have Traun here. I guess not. Who's this Leotrim? That does not sound like an Italian name. Why is he with the Italian army? See, here's one of the problems. I can't tell the Austrians from the Piedmontese particularly well. So now I look at, like, they're the same color is the problem. And that's a big problem. Now you could say, you got something similar with the British, the Hanoverians, Danes, and whatnot. Yeah, they're different. They're the same power, right? And they don't have leaders except for George, who's now in Hanover for some reason. So let me check the setup and see why Leotrim is over there in Italy. Charles Emmanuel Leotrim. Yeah, I'm assuming he's a Piedmontese leader. And I don't know how I'm going to be able to tell where he belongs, but whatever. He was in with my Piedmontese forces when I sorted the bags, so he must have been indicated as such on the counter sheet or whatever, but it is a kind of an annoying facet that one of the nations, it's very easy to tell the units of Piedmont from the units of Austria, no problem at all, but their leaders, I don't know if there's like a little bit of gray on one of them or something. I can't tell. But anyway. Oh no, this is not. This is the guy. Okay, let's put these two next to each other. I cannot tell any difference between them. There should be some sort of annotation if they're different nationalities, different powers, as it were. Okay, I've redeployed my Austrians then. That means I go to the Bourbon, and they're not really the Bourbon. Those are the French and the Bavarians. The Spanish are Bourbons as well, but and even though they operate off these cards, they're off a different player. I can't continue right now. I need a bathroom break. That's going to take some time. So by my reading of the redeployment phase, I could actually have... I'm moving Bavarians into here. Everything came out fine in the end. A little bloody, but that's usual. And I could redeploy French units through anything, basically. But admin march is different. If I want to do that, that's 8.8. Okay, I'm allowed. Okay, what's really weird is in the spring I'm allowed an admin march redeployment, which is not a campaign season, but this doesn't seem to be the admin. Maybe it is. Maybe it is the admin march that's here. It just says, then belligerents may conduct one free admin march, and if, let's keep this page, flip back here, see what this says. So, each belligerent power may then provide one free admin march which cannot be intercepted, a leader that just redeployed, and this is one of the problems, I couldn't really admin march my Austrians. Now, I have these units in Brunn that I could have admin marched, but the normal admin march, which I think is this, is 15 SPs can go, I don't know. Maybe this is the free one. Just like there's a free one somewhere else, which is not defined in the campaign sequence, right? So I've been ignoring it because it's also not defined when we come over here, I think. Oh yeah, it is. Okay, so this one is here. Have one force contain an admin march with an AP allowance of 4, but this one doesn't apply, it doesn't state that. And, you know, it's like the redeployment phase one doesn't say it has to be minor. But then over here it says it does, and I just don't fucking know. I may have cheated. I doubt it. I don't think I've done an ad. Oh yeah, I did an admin march with Passau. That's the whole point, to get him into place, and with the Saxons. I don't fucking care. Like, I feel like I got to make up my rules. You know, it would make sense to me that I would be able to do one with a full army, but. Again, this says once per power turn in each spring, summer, and fall season. Now, there is no power turn, so this is another factor. There's no power turn in the spring. So, I don't know what that would be, if that's the case either. We go over here, there's no power turn in the spring. There's nothing defined as such, so I just don't know. Like, this just doesn't seem to... The two rules don't match. So I'm going to follow the one in the sequence of play because I've got this updated sequence of play. Of course, this is an updated rule book too, so, you know, whatever. But yeah, the two don't follow each other, and I'm tired of trying to hunt for rules for this game. I think it makes sense that you'd be able to do a redeployment before the campaign season starts with a full army. Yeah, you can make arguments either way, I'm sure. But where the fuck am I? I'm on the French, yes. So how do I make admin marches? Well, it may start in an enemy-occupied space but cannot enter another one. It cannot attack or besiege, but it can drop off and pick up. So I think I could walk through Germany with Belle-Île and gather at Ingolstadt. I'm gathering the Bavarians there. You think I kind of want my whole army there? In order to put pressure on the Austrians. So we'll do that. And we can't really do anything effectively with him, although we could move him forward into Saarbrücken, which might be of some value. So I've gathered there. Do the French have any other powers under their control? Saxons have already moved, so I can't do them again. So I guess I go on to the Brits. And I don't know. I'm not belligerent, so I don't think I get campaign seasons, even though I can be invaded and attacked. I think I won't do anything with the Brits. But Piedmont, not in the war either. Great. Okay. We've gotten through this segment. Now we're on the draw segment. And we draw strategy cards, 10 cards for Austria, 10 for Prussia, 12 for Austria, 12 for Britain, 13 to France. And then we discard down to 12 cards. Now, obviously, nobody has many cards. I'll tell you, if anybody had if anybody had couldn't draw their entire deck. France may not be able to. They actually have quite a pile. Funnily enough, Prussia only has 9 cards left in their deck. They have no other cards in their hand, so they get all 9. Great. Exactly got all their cards. France and Austria each ended up with 1 extra card. Now remember, France did not actually play... well, they played some cards. Yeah, they had additional cards left, as did the Austrians, but the Austrians didn't have very many. But yeah, the British are the only ones who worked it out perfectly and ended up getting all their cards back. And now I go through each deck and try to figure out what 12 card hand they want. Prussia, it's easy. But for Austria, Britain, and France, they each have huge decks that they have to try to, you know, and this is going to be a matter of looking over all the cards and considering what my plans are for the turn, what cards I just don't need. It's interesting because the battle cards, which are very, very valuable, are low value for movement. So, you know, you got to make your decision of how many battles am I going to be involved in. In addition to that, you've got, you know, hey, this is an event that I want to play, but I can only, if I'm belligerent, I can only really get away with a couple, maybe 3 events over the course of the year, because I'm going to need to play non-event cards over there. And if I'm non-belligerent, I'm not allowed to play over here. So again, I only get 3 events over the course of the year. Now, I could do that differently. And then I also want to consider, you know, do I want to do winter campaigns, shit like that. Winter campaigns seem very powerful because you don't take attrition for doing them. After I had to discard 1 card, I'm deciding to discard a surprise late winter offensive because I have another better card that also is a late winter offensive. So great. Peachy. Fortunately for France, I have to pick 5 cards I have to discard. And I think Britain is going to have a fair number as well. And that, you know, it was relatively easy. The Prussians, 0. The Austrians, I found 1 card that I'm like, okay, whatever. French, I'm going to focus on the Austrian side of things. I feel like that's more important right now, so I'm throwing away quite a few Spanish cards. I got to get rid of 5, so that's a a pretty painful collection there. And finally for the British had to get rid of 3. I found some of them fairly easy. The Cataract Piedmont subsidy. I have to have a couple of things, the Convention of Turin or Piedmont's Treaty of Worms. The Treaty of Worms isn't in yet. I don't know where the Convention of Turin is, but I'm not counting on Austria applying it and whatever. I have tons of stuff I want to do, bringing the Dutch into the war and everything. Protocol of Neustadt, I've already kind of made my decision. Yes, I could declare Hanover neutral, but I feel like Prussia's on the ropes. They're not going to be chasing after Hanover there. And then the subsidy to Austria has already been played. This was the hardest one because it's a 4-point card with one of these. So I would get like whatever, a British fleet sortie that I could utilize, but I figure if I'm in the war, if and when I'm in the war, which should be soon, I've got others, so screw it, man. But the idea of keeping the French treasure fleet from coming in seems very, very good. Okay, that puts us to here. We're going to have to discard more again. See, we didn't have to, there was no draw segment in the 41 turn, so we didn't have to discard anything, but we did have to discard for the fleet maintenance. But let's just take these out of the way. I don't know if I'm ready to cope with this. But I can randomize the Fog of War and place them, and then I can discard yet another card from each nation. And this really sucks for poor Prussia. They're going to be down to 8 cards. In order to randomize such a small amount of counters, and I have no idea what's where, I'm doing this, of course, but on top of that, then I'm going to roll a die for each one, because I don't know which one's which, but that's okay. I don't know which one's which. But I might subconsciously know. So those are going there. Then we do the discard. Well, discards were more difficult because, you know, I've already pruned the excess, and now it's like, yeah, now I'm giving up cards that I don't know whether or not I want to. We'll go to the event card segment, and I am going to pause here because I need a break. Again, the game is really taxing, the amount of cards that I have to read, think about, whatever, compared to most CDGs, right? And most of the time, you're making a choice of, okay, I got a handful of cards, what do I want to use, right? And how do I want to use it? And it's a fairly simple choice. It's your turn, you do something. It's your turn, you do something. Here, I'm making all these choices of, well, what do I not want to use in the upcoming, you know, next 5, 6 card plays? Which ones can I get rid of? Which ones can I afford, you know, to get rid of? I also put mixed force markers on these guys just to remind me that they have a movement point penalty. That's fine. All right. And that means I go take a break. A little weirdness of countering, etc. here. The Prussians play Augustus overall. Saxon forces and leaders can be combined and controlled by Prussian leaders without mixed force penalties, as long as Saxony is in the Bourbon Alliance. Hi, there's my buddy again. I don't know how long he's going to be annoying for. Okay, this is a one-time event. I had written it down before. Now I write it again. And that's cool. That gets rid of this marker. But now the Austrians play Saxon Doubts. Now, I couldn't play the mounting power. The red is no good here. But here, 1742 or later it is. And Prussian victory points less than 9. They're at like 3 because we got smashed back pretty hard. Transfer all Saxon SP not in Saxony to Dresden. This is an alliance break card. Flip the Saxon influence marker to its diplomacy side and move it 4 spaces towards the pragmatics. 1, 2, 3, 4. Saxony is now almost on our side. Upon play, Austrian presence in Saxony does not affect Saxony alliance status. This is kind of an interesting facet. Saxony is neutral, but Austrians can transit it now. This card, nothing's written down to note this fact. Again, it's one of the flaws in the design as far as I'm concerned. But these Saxons leave his force and go back to Dresden, and we're fine with that. But that's, you know, a counter to the Prussian play. Now, the Prussian play means if Saxony does come back in the war, they can cooperate again. And now we'll do the other players. Another Spanish depot that couldn't be on the board. Oops. I'm jumping in because of that, but otherwise, France had a couple of options for diplomacy type, you know, for things that I can play in the event phase that looked valuable. Obviously, I had Cartagena, which just gives victory points. That doesn't feel like that's going to help me right now, particularly. It feels like it's a card that's going to, you know, get me to the 23 victory points or play late in the game. I don't really see much advantage unless I got nothing better to do on an event phase. And that may well happen to play that card. But in this case, I am playing Campiglio and Montemar Redux. Sea transport a bunch of Castellar and a bunch of Spaniards over to Naples, and it brings Naples into the war. However, it does move the Piedmont influence back into the start box there. But Naples is now within the war. Now I've moved there. I had to get rid of that. I have to look who's in charge. I only have 5 Neapolitans. So there's a larger Spanish force. That's important because the Spaniards are very good. Now, I don't know who gets the 3 points here. I think it's Spain. See, this looks white to me, which would be like, that's Austria, actually. So I don't know if that's the case. And this card gets removed. Now, I have to look this up, of course. Yeah, this is one that gets written down for some reason, which is weird because it's removed from the game. But whatever. The colors are right. It's 1 point for Spain. So Spain gets a victory point, and that's not an event victory point, that's a total victory point. It doesn't take away from anybody. If Austria captures Naples, they'll take a point away from Spain and get 3 points themselves. If somebody else captures Naples, it's just worth a point to them. So you kind of want to do this with them. Oh, there is an army of Italy. Awesome. That's what I wanted. Okay. These are Neapolitan. These are Spanish. That's Neapolitan, and I have a bonus leader. But he does at least, you know, if my force gets much larger, gives me an advantage. So that's there. Why it's strange that this is a card that's written down is, look, it's pretty obvious. Like, if there's anything I can remember, it's that, you know, a power has joined the war. One that I don't have a marker for, whatever, but there's additional impacts to the Saxon one that are a little weird, right? Not that in either case I'm going to be able to look up. Like, at least with the Spanish card, I could tuck it somewhere to remind me this card has been played because it's been removed, right? The one that wasn't removed, I particularly want some kind of information to tell me now I have the capability to move through Saxony. That card, sure, it might show up in my hand again and it might remind me that way, but it might not. There's a fair amount of Austrian cards and all kind of weird shit like that, you know, I'm going to have a hard time remembering. And there's just not enough support for the players, being able to remember everything that's going on. These things written down don't really help that much either. Now for the English, I have a boatload of interesting cards. I have Lord Carteret. Dutch and English and Dutch join Austria as auxiliary allies. A bunch of forces, British infantry and cav, show up in any Dutch city, and the Dutch get a bunch of Dutch infantry and cav, and the leader Waldeck, who I didn't know when he was going to come in, as well in any friendly city in the Dutch or Austrian Netherlands, so the Dutch could actually project their weight closer. And then also place 10 Austrian infantry and 2 Austrian cav in the spring reinforcement box, which leads me to really wonder about this. But this is definitely a one-time. I could find nothing that indicated that this subsidy goes away ever, right? And it would really suck if it did, because like the Bavarian subsidy is garbage. It's like, I'm going to waste a card on one Bavarian crap infantry, but one every year, maybe that's worth having. And I also think that this was a single-use card. I'm not positive. Let me find it. Look at the difference between the two. The subsidy to Austria puts the Austrian subsidy marker in the reinforcement box, and that just keeps, as far as I can tell, it keeps accumulating. I'm not going to ask questions on every little thing, although it would be a big deal if it's a one-time. But this just places the forces in the spring reinforcement box. If this just placed forces, if there wasn't a counter that, continually, Austrian sub late. Wow. See, this worries me that there's another card, in which case maybe this is only one time it happens. But why would this be different? I don't fucking know. So we're going to probably find there's going to be a card, and I'll look in the late deck to see what's up there. And through the rest of the British cards, both late and wider, I don't see anything that triggers this being placed in there. I don't know what goes on. It may be possible. I was thinking it's possible there's a card by someone else that gets rid of the British subsidy and then they can reinstate it or whatever. I just don't know. But again, a British subsidy to Piedmont doesn't seem worth, I don't know, one card for 4 strength points seems worth it. A card for 1 infantry strength point. And it does say per year. Now here, it says per year as well. So yeah, I think this counter just stays there. I don't know why the late is in there. It doesn't look any different. I just don't know. Anyway, these were the cards that are discards for them. As far as I can tell, this is supposed to just stay there forever. So, anyway, I'm left with a couple of choices. One is to bring Cartet in. Another is Fleury's Jealousy. Remove Belle-Ile from the map. Place Broglie in the space. And then Belle-Ile could be gone for like 3 years. Leaders are important. And I think I'm going to actually go with that. So Belle-Ile comes off the map. We don't know what's happening to him yet. We'll see. And then Broglie, who is here in Paris, not really commanding anything, is going to be flung over in charge of this force, I guess. Let me see. We got nobody more important there. And now we roll a die to see how long Belle-Ile is gone. We get a 4. He'll return to play in the second spring reinforcement season from the current year. Okay, so that will be here in 1744 he shows back up. And I could have done this, remove him from the map and make a roll above. Belle-Île may be returned immediately if French slippage event. But that's one that I don't need Fleury to be alive for. So this is gone. This is playable when neutral, so I'm able to play it at any time. And like almost every other card. And now we look here to see if Fleury's jealousy is something we mark. It's not. Lord Carteret would be. So I get rid of this. And that is the events for everyone. So now we have the first Fortune of War counter. And it is attrition. Okay. So again, all major forces are going to take like 10%. The ones in Italy take 20%. And we also check our supply state. I think we're all within range of fortresses one way or another. So that shouldn't be an issue. The other option was to bring basically a Anglo-Dutch army into play to threaten France directly, which might force Belle-Île to come back. I think I can afford to let the French force be here and to let this one try to take Frankfurt and all kind of stuff like that. Although, honestly, so this is the problem with the events, and I have the same problem in EU, right? There's some events that are really, really important. So I feel like, forming, getting Charles VII as Holy Roman Emperor is a big deal. And there should be kind of a clue outside of the cards for people who don't want to memorize cards as to what is going to happen. It seems to me that there are certain kinds of things that should just be known, and certain things that are really feel more like really random events, right? That you shouldn't know that the opponent has this capability to do X, Y, and Z. CDGs are particularly hard for that. A game like Europa Universalis, no matter what, even if you know all the events, you know they might not happen, right? Here, the only reason certain events aren't going to happen because of the way that the cards flush through your hand so quickly is that your opponent made a choice not to make them happen. Oh, but yeah. Anyway. So I get kind of the feeling that you can't play this game at all minimally effectively without memorizing the decks. You could make the same kind of argument about Twilight Struggle, you know. If you don't memorize the deck, there are some key things that you just really, really got to know are going to happen. You know, a knowledge of the history can help. My knowledge of history of this period is not strong. Let's just put it that way. It's not terribly weak, but, I wouldn't be guessing that I need Munich, Passau, and Frankfurt as the locations to be able to play that French card, which is what they are. I would not have made that guess at all, right? Yeah. And I wouldn't guess that that's all you need to do to put Charles VII on the imperial throne. Okay? You're getting a little bit for Bavaria. That kind of makes sense. Bringing them in and succeeding, yeah, okay. Though, honestly, if Bavaria is in the war, I think they vote in your favor, regardless of whether or not they've gotten Passau yet. And the other side of it is Frankfurt? Really? What is that? Is that the Palatinate? I don't remember. I didn't think they got to keep their electorate. Oh, of course they did. Of course they did. Yeah. Okay. But again, I don't know what my electorates are, right? You're not going to be able to take, like, if you take Hanover, that doesn't help you. But Frankfurt's neutral, so that would help. Passau is not an electorate. Prussia's an electorate. Presumably you have them on your side, although, yeah. And then there's the religious ones. I'm trying to see if they're here. I mean, I got Metz. I get that for free. I really don't know. Anyway, whatever. So let's do the attrition, and this is kind of a painful process, which is why I'm kind of babbling to avoid it. That was accomplished. I move the markers up there once I've used them. It just helps my life to not have anything else on here. And that's going to put us into the summer campaign season. And once again, I need to break. It is a fatiguing and tiring task going through all the stacks. The calculations aren't too bad, but the change making is painful, especially when you're maintaining these force pools. I am very much thinking, not just because of enforcing rules, but for play of the game, that this would play a lot better on Vassal than it does as a physical copy. I don't mind the change making so much when I'm in the midst of a battle or doing a reinforcements or something like that. But with this, where I'm, pawing through every decent sized stack in the game, yeah, it's kind of annoying. Including neutrals, right? Like the Saxons suffer attrition. It's not just belligerents. It's not just people who are aligned with one player or another. It's everything on the board. The Dutch are kind of bonus. Their army is not formed yet. Of course, it's pretty crappy, so it may just be basically conscripts when it comes down to it. Hey, Naples doesn't have a bad army, but Modena does. This is kind of interesting. And I honestly think that most of the playtesting was probably done via Vassal. I think that there are issues that it's a very small playtest group that's listed to begin with. But also, I think that there are issues that, would have been noticed about the game if you had to keep looking up rules and you didn't have the system saying, nah, you can't do that, right? So, the playtesting, at least as they got later and later in the process, I think it was probably done on a Vassal system. I think that the cumbersome nature of some of the elements of play would just be too painful to do it any other way. And, if you're going to sell a physical game and not just an electronic game, then you probably ought to do a significant amount of the play testing. First of all, there should be blind test groups, right? There should be people who have never seen the game before being given a near final edition of the rules. When it's ready, at the point at which this was released, that's where it should have been, right? It should have been sending it out and saying, 5 or 6 groups, figure this out and play it, and just come back with feedback, and questions and whatnot, where the answers to the questions, the fact that there's a question would have to be recorded and figure out why is that question being asked, communications and all that, whatever, and what can be done to make it easier. And I think it's pretty damn obvious this did not receive anything like a blind testing. But beyond that, if people aren't playing with the physical components, they're not going to see the discomfort levels that playing a game physically. And that's what you're selling, man. You're not selling an e-game, right? You're selling a boxed game with a physical set of rules that can't be modified, as changes go. You don't have a patch, right? GMT was gracious enough to grant this thing a patch. And even that failed. It wasn't close. It wasn't close to being ready to be released. And I don't know the politics. I don't know everything that happened and whatnot. I'm just speculating that this wasn't gelling for a long time, that the development tasks, that trying to get this out the door and ready, from some of the things that Bob mentions in the designer's notes, you get kind of the feeling that, like, yeah, he was just tired of designing this by that point. And when you look at the number of developers in there, look, that may have been a matter of just attrition over the years, or it may have been that, like, people were saying, look, this is not a workable game. I can't take what you've got and make something that works out of it very well. There are serious problems that come out of it. And, when we look at what the playtest group is, it really looks like a single group. Maybe there were prior playtests that started coming up with you don't have a game that's anywhere close to being published, developers. And then eventually they found a fifth guy who would okay it. No idea. Just speculation here. Anyway, we'll be going into the summer campaign season. All right, here we are. It's, I guess, Thursday night. Pretty late. My neighbor's still got some lights on, I think. Which means it's probably not past 11, but I'm just having a hard time, coming down and motivating to play. Is really the thing. It's just, when I know something's this painful, it's just hard to convince myself. And so, last night played a lot of Raid, and there were reasons for it. And woke up late today, got right to it. About an hour and a half ago or so, I stopped, and I didn't come right down. I tried to convince myself into a nap, other stuff, whatever. All right, so we're in the initial supply segment, but this is within a player turn order, so we do the Prussians first. And we got to worry now, because if we want to advance, we need depots, and we don't have any. What can I do here? Well, I can buy them, but I don't really need them for the extent of my movement that's coming forward. So I think I'll hold off and go to the campaign card segment. My goal is to get old Decimir or whatever, I don't know what his name is, and try to clear the Austrians out. This game could be a really short one if if the Austrians manage to beat the Prussians and turn things around and whatever. So I spent a 3-point card because I don't have a 2-point card I want to spend. 3-point card lets me motivate him. If I get multiple activations, want to do them, that's fine, but right now this is what I want to do. I kind of feel like no, because you discard a card to get your depot. Okay. And I've spent a few movement points. I've grabbed Breslau. Minor Fortress was unoccupied, so I get 3 Prussian points for that, and Austria loses 3. Paw through all these counters. Why do the Prussians have an extra point over what the Austrians have lost? That's a good question, because the Austrians have Passau. Okay, fair enough. So moving into here, I'm going to try to intercept using Chuck E. Cheese there. Get more forces into play. I do not. Now, I think if I try to intercept, I'm not sure. Is this a game where, again, this is the horror of like area-based and point-to-point based movement, is they all have different movement systems and you can't remember them, and they all have these intercept and withdrawal rules and all that. And they just don't seem like that big a game. But, so can I withdraw? See, I'm going to be facing Frederick and Dessau or whatever here. But am I allowed to withdraw? I think I'm allowed to try. I would need a 4 or more. There are no bonuses for the opponent to try to cut you off. But I've got Traun here. Traun is going to fight. He's going to stand and fight. Now, you know what sucks? I don't want to play this card. I'm going to play the major campaign instead. I am going to, because since last year, he's been worn and demoralized. I am going to spend 2 of the points for Frederick to activate, and he's just going to rally. That way I get Frederick and Dessau in the same battle without any penalty. The other 2 points I use for this. I wasn't playing. I was kind of hoping on using Frederick for, you know, an activation later, being able to activate 2 armies. Not going to be able to do that. But here, we're going to face Traun with the Lorraine army, and we're going to come out and fight him. Sadly, the Austrians are probably badly outnumbered. They still have the advantage. Traun has the capability of deciding that it's a defensive battle for him, so he's going to get a bonus from that. The Prussians have an extra battle card, so they're getting a +3. The Austrians are getting a +2. I have to pay attention. I gotta find the battle order. Move intercept with this is not it, is it? It's this procedure. I did not spend my point yet. Let me count. I started at 7, 6, 5, 4. Now I have to pay for the major battle. Okay. And what are we looking at here? Net ABR rating. The Prussians are a 4. The Austrians are a 4. Attacking and defending. Tactics cards. Okay, we should have actually done the day of battle card first. Right? Yeah. So, each side's DRM. So, the modifier before this, I'm trying to remember what the fuck. The modifier before this would have been +1 Austria for the leadership. And now it's going to be +3 for both, assuming nothing happens. But I draw the 9th card from the deck. And that is, these are both small, good defensive terrain, -2 to the attacker. The attacker is the Prussians because Traun said I'm the defender. So it's going to be +1, +3 for Austria, +1 for Prussia. +1 for Prussia is going to be 15%, +3 for Austria is going to be 15%. That's going to go very, very badly for the Austrians because there's a much larger Prussian force. We're looking at 26 strength points for the Prussians, and we're looking at about 10 strength points for the Austrians. Making my change, I don't know what I did. I fucked something up because I picked up some cav. I don't know if I picked them up out of here I think that may be the case. I'm going to have to look up what Dessauer had in initial forces. The units look a little too close to me, whatever. I don't know. I either picked it up out of there or I picked it up out of here. And I also, not sure how many, but I think it's a 2 cav marker, and was trying to make change and realized, wow, I've got the wrong pieces in my hand. This is, again, I mean, if I pulled them out of here, it's just a problem with, like, counters not being very distinguishable to me. And I feel like they should be pretty distinguishable. But, again, they're in these little slices in this game, which, I don't know. I don't know. I'm having more and more trouble distinguishing between the images of different counters in games recently. I don't know how I could have made this mistake, except that I saw maybe just the top of the hat or something. I don't know. Never have this problem with NATO symbols, do I? Tower only had a couple of calves, so what I'm assuming is that these were over here. This is weird because now I have 4 points in there, which would have been an 8. And I don't know what's going on here. But we'll just do that, whatever. That was the 2 points off the Austrians. I didn't bother calculating the other side, which was 10, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. I'm getting to 27 now. Thought it was 26 before. I don't know. Don't know. So 27 times 15%. I used to be better at this shit. Not just the calculation. Means there's going to be 4 Austrians lost. That's going to demoralize the Austrians and fling them back. But they actually have to take a cav loss. Now, did we have 2-to-1 cav? Yeah, we did. That would have given us another plus, right? Let's look here. So, cav superiority. That would be a -1. What? So that would be a -1 to the Austrian die roll. That would be enough to have dropped it to a 1 point. I don't know. We'll leave it as it is. Because I feel like I got an extra point out of this. But the fact that I'm taking 4 hits means I have to take a cav hit. Crown has been pushed back. I don't know when they have to become 1 force. I seem to remember that there's a point in the turn when they have to become 1 force. And that if they're in battle, they have to become 1 force. But I don't think Traun demoralizes Charles or whatever. But he's the smaller force. Why do we have Nyperg here with Charles? That's fine. I don't know if that's legitimate. Oh, fuck. Charles got created by someone. Someone played a Charles in charge card or something, didn't they? Or I placed him with Nyperg. I don't fucking know. I'm not sure that they can be together. But where would Charles be? I could have put, or where would Nyperg be? Well, Nyperg can't be here. He'd have to be here. He could be here. Let's put him here. I think this was safe, but I'm not sure if he was forced to be here, is kind of the problem by the command roles. I'm not sure when Charles came in. I got to look at the cards and see if there's something that forced Charles. Charles came in because of this, because it's 1742 and he comes in, right? Or was he forced in? I don't know. I think Charles was forced in here. But then where was he before? I don't know. Okay, we'll put Nyperg back with Charles's army. I just have no fucking clue. And that means whoever's in Italy here, Loboskitz. It doesn't make a lot of difference. I have a lot of shitty commanders. But here's what it means. It means that this guy, who has a single star, This is what I'm trying to maintain, is that he is in command of that force. Because otherwise, so I need to have like a 2-star leader here. You know, I need to have my two 2-star leaders, I think, on the board at certain places. And now I'm just fucking lost because I'm all tied up in trying to follow up that rule, and EU has just as bad. When I hit here, now I can't take Frederick on, and Frederick has already been activated at this point, which means I don't have a whole shitload of stuff I can do. But I do have movement points here. And I think I can pick up Frederick forces because they haven't been moved. However, I'm not sure again. Is this coalesced into a single force as well? Because if it is at this point, he's done. But does he have to... Oh, no. No, the Prussians are completely immune to this. So I could conceivably swing up with 1, 2 to here, and then 3 siege that. Let's do that. 1, 2, 3, and I take this. That doesn't actually do anything for me, but it eats up the rest of my actions. And there goes the Prussian card. And yeah, so now here's still the question though. Is Charles in charge here, or is Traun able to exist as an independent command? And if Charles and Traun are together, I think that undemoralizes Traun. So I don't think there's any reason not to combine them. So let's get rid of the army of Lorraine here, put Traun in here, and he takes all these forces, which of course, you know, creates all kind of coinage issues, like I have to make change all over the place now. Now we go to the rally. We do not have to worry about worn or demoralized. And then supply, we are still in supply. So we're going back here, and I'm moving to the Austrian turn, and I've played too much already. I'm already sick of playing. You know, again, it's like trying to balance just the weight of the rules in this. Now, I don't know how much worse these are than Clash of Monarchs. I know that I've grown less tolerant of painful rules. And a lot of it feels to me, some of it may be my age and my crankiness. Some of it, I think, comes down to using the camera. Like, once upon a time, and also the huge flow of games going through, which are related to each other. But once upon a time, I felt like I could dig into games better than I can now. And I'm not sure. Anything is fucking me over with the Prussians. It's the fact that Belle-Île did not get to move a turn earlier is honestly what it seems to be. Because I'm looking at this situation with the Austrians now, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm in a world of hurt, man. Over here, this Kevin Hewler, all one word, is, you know, totally outmatched by the Belle-Île Bavarian combined army. Now I have a way out of that. I have an interrupt that can handle that if I remember to play it. But interrupts are always tough for me, of course. But I'm trying to look at what else I have. I have Brownie here. You know what I do have? I have Chucky with a huge force who might be able to just blast his way through Freddy. And I think in order to do that, I'm going to play this Croats and Hussars Pillage. Place a depot in the forces space. Okay, well, I have to have 2 or more CH markers that are in an enemy space, or in an AU force in an enemy space. I'm not in an enemy space. I can't use this for that. Fuck. I thought I'd be able to. Yeah, I got to be actually advancing. Well, there goes that idea. I thought I knew what I was going to do. But what I'm thinking is that I ought to plow into Freddy and try to lay some smack down on him. It requires a 3 activation. That may be the card I use anyway. The card I'm going to use next and try to move Chucky. I'm going to leave some forces behind because I'm at like 32 strength points, which isn't very helpful to me. But then I remember, wait a minute, don't I have freebie moves of some sort? Which, of course, are not listed down here. Now, I don't need any supplies. Don't need no stinking supplies. Don't want to play with my irregulars. I can't figure out how to use them particularly effectively. Raid markers are useful, but there's no Prussian depots or anything. You know, it's like I'm operating without half the rules here, I think. But yeah, somewhere or another I'm allowed to do something for free. And what is that? A minor force to an admin march. I don't know if I have anything I really want to move. This is too big to be minor. Just barely. Move a leader who's not already been moved for free. What are my requirements here? I have some leadership requirements, right? Each power's highest ranking leader is its senior. Other leaders. In each of the 3 theaters, the largest force in each power must be commanded by a 2-star if available, and if not a 1-star. So this is kind of interesting. I don't know. There's a contradiction here, or some kind of problem. So the fact that I have Nieperg, who normally couldn't be here, but Charles got put in charge of him, in place, is somewhat problematic. At least I think he did. I can't tell you for sure. But in each of the 3 theaters, the largest force of each power at the start of the year must be commanded by a 2-star. Yeah, I think we were in that position. I don't know how Charles... Like, that's where I've got the problem. I may have cheated at that point. But assuming I didn't cheat at that point and the Charles in charge card put things there, we're looking at, throughout each season, forces led by 2-star leaders must be maintained as the largest in each theater. I think I'm just allowed to have him there if he made it this far. So if I legitimately got him there, I'm okay having him as my subordinate. I think at the beginning of the year I couldn't have done that. I don't know if I fucking cheated or not. I don't know how Charles got in there. I kind of don't feel like I would have played that as an event to bone him. But anyway, we're leaving it as it is. And we are going to move Charles up there, I guess. I don't think I want to do any of the freebies. So Charles has a 7, which puts him here. And we spend 1 to get in. I don't particularly want to undergo siege with Charles. So I'm going to try to run away. He's got like a +2 to run away, I think, for his defensive. And he only needs a 4. So he succeeds. I'm going to leave an infantry behind. And do I have any really shitty leaders? See, Schwerin is expensive, but not very effective. I'll leave Nassau behind to reduce the chances of the siege working. And I'll fall back here to Breslau. That puts me in range that Dessau, or whatever, has a chance of intercepting. And now we'll proceed with the siege, because I've got to get this cleared. I can't just bypass it. We succeeded in getting a 3 result, which each side loses 1 SP. Well, that means this no longer has a garrison, It has a leader, however. Is a leader enough to fuck with the world? I don't think so. Yep. All these damn lookups. So, an ungarrisoned fortress. Yeah, so I think I'm allowed to do this as if a breach has happened, which means I will be getting rid of that leader. And I do have to pay I only have to pay one, right? No, I have to pay two, I think. Yeah, two for a major fortress. I think I have to pay that. There was something where I only have to pay one to take something over, and I don't remember what that was. This might be that special condition. I don't know where it is. Garrisons. Okay, here it is. In either case, the enemy retreats or falls below the minimum SP. The siege marker is removed. If the enemy wins the battle and the result... I don't know. There's something... This is siege and blockade restrictions, garrisons. This is not it. There's somewhere where there's like, if it, I think it's if it empties out. Maybe it's here. No. All right, I got to start looking for this because there's something where if the garrison, I think the rule is if the garrison disappears, you only have to pay one AP to take it over. But I'm not sure. That certainly wouldn't be implied by this, but it's, again, one of those little weird special rules that I don't know if it's intentional or not, but the game is replete with them. It's under garrison loses 1 SP, which is a siege table result, and it indeed says that I only have to pay 1 AP to take it under this special circumstance. However, that's actually not the result I got. I got besieger and garrison lose 1 SP plus 1 siege marker. I think that applies. But yeah, I managed to knock his leader out, take this, and that means I have Niese back. This is gone. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to put him there. That gives Austria a victory point. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, Austria 1 less negative and Prussia 1 less positive victory point. And we still have a significant amount of movement points, so we can keep pressing against Frederick. And we may, I think we're going to chance this. So I'm going to just move forward. Do I want to leave a garrison behind? Yeah, I think so. Okay, I'm going to chance that forward. We get a intercept chance at +2. These are harder. We do not make it, which means that Frederick is once again going to try to retreat because he has almost nothing in his main army. This is a special case. Normally, I would get all kind of penalties for having such a small main army, but Prussia's special. He withdraws again to here. I don't have to combine them yet, as far as I know. And that means that, oh, do I want to leave a strength point behind? Didn't I leave one here? Well, we'll leave one behind, because that's going to cost him a die roll at the very least. Breslau has fallen. I have one more point to move. I'll manipulate my troops so that I can leave a garrison at Breslau, and I'll move into Galatz to try to start a siege of that. I have one movement point left. It kind of doesn't hurt me to move there, I think. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But that could trigger, again, an interception, and I could combine the force under Frederick and have him try it. Frederick doesn't make it in. I throw this Austrian card away because it's used, and I don't throw it on the ground because it doesn't belong there. We got a siege 0 on there just to remind us we meet the requirements and whatever. And then we go to rally, nothing's going to happen there. We go to supply, we're in supply all over the place with everything. We go to the French. Now this is important. I want to put, I'm planning on doing something with the French, but I can't play right now because it's time for me to do some stuff in raid. So we're going to do that like that. I'm going to put this hesitation marker. There's a good chance that I will be playing that interrupt to prevent this thing from doing much. It'll only get 1 AP, and it'll cost the French a lot to activate, right? Which is kind of potent and kind of forgives me for leaving this guy dangling out there. I'm going to have to do something, and it's getting hard. But I have a major campaign card, a 4-point card that I can play if I want to. I was planning on using that as a winter campaign, so I don't know. I don't know what else I have in my hand, though. Luckily, back down almost right away because turned out not as much what's going to happen in raid right now. I've got another couple hours before exciting stuff is going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it stay awake for all of that. Anyway, I'm looking through the French cards. The loss of Belle-Île is huge. The cards that I have a lot of 3-point cards that I'd kind of like to play. That would allow me to play Bad Boy and Belle-Île together. But I have a 4-point card, which is appealing. I don't like playing this as my Bavarian subsidy, whatever, would go away. But I don't think I'm going to get to play that. So I think I'm going to play that. I don't have a lot of other cards that really work that are going to give me actions with both sides. Well, I'll start with the most important here. So he starts with only 4. I guess -1 movement point is meant to be -1 action point. So he starts with only 4 of those. And at this point, it's time for the hesitation, which drops it to 1. Play against a French Bavarian starting an activation in or adjacent to an Austrian space. No, they're not. Oh, shit. Oh, snap. Okay. Well, that's a big deal. Because then this French force, with the army of Germany... Oh, this is Bavarian supply only. That's no good. We can't have that. We have to actually do something else first, which is play one of these French supply markers somewhere. I thought I was okay in any fortresses. This particular one does not allow me to run the French army out of, which is actually kind of problematic. Like, how did I get there? Oh, that was like my admin march. I think it's okay because I hit this right away. But where am I allowed to place a depot? Oops. I may have fucked something up. You know, I think, hey, I'm in a fortress. Yeah, I forget. There's text inside things, under stuff, and I just don't notice it. Yeah, I should be able to remember. Sure. May place up to 3 depots. Buy. Okay, but where do I place them? May deploy them in any non-enemy occupied space that can trace a supply line of 2 APs or less to a friendly fortress or another depot. But then I'm allowed to move the depot. Now, what am I allowed? Where am I allowed to play it again? Any non-enemy aligned space. So I take the French depot and I place it here, and then I move it here, and we're fine. Now, if I have to recover supply, I might lose that depot, but this is okay. And then I play this. They're not able to play the intercept. I thought they had it, which means I have a few choices. This is their supply source. I'm going to try to cut their supply source. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So I have 4 movement points with him. I move 1 here, and then 1 here. Now this is problematic. He's going to get a short supply because you check supply immediately. Now, of course, I can avoid some of that by placing something in the supply depot segment, but I get that immediately because I was in supply. If I was out of supply like this force was, it wouldn't do a damn thing. It wouldn't matter. Yes, the game has some really weird shit going on in it. So I went 1, 2. Let's move those. If I intercept, I have to fight, which might be terrible. Like, I'm badly outnumbered by this. If I intercept, I can still, I think, withdraw into the fortress, but I don't think I can withdraw anywhere else. Okay, time to look up, again, all the specifics of point-to-point movement games. And the same applies with area movement games. Don't get me wrong. Unless you're dealing with something really simple like, Risk or whatever, Axis and Allies, there's going to be a lot of complexity in them. Because they're trying to represent all the kind of information that you have in a hex-based game as to how you can move and interact with each other. And it's fine when you don't have so many. But the excess of point-to-point based games that came out, over the last couple decades, really, is making this a lot harder. I'm looking for withdrawal. I don't know. All right, so we go to the 10.1. We go to the one place that really works in this rulebook, which is that. Forces may attempt to withdraw. I don't think you're allowed to withdraw if you intercepted. All right, let's look at the... if no interception occurred, see, this is in there. Now, here, an inactive force may attempt to withdraw the first time an activated force enters its space. There's actually no... I don't see any kind of prohibition against withdrawing after intercepting, but it's written here. If an interception occurred, the moving force can attempt to withdraw. I think that is good enough. And what it means is, if I go into here, I can't attempt to withdraw. Now, I think I'm allowed to fall back into a fortress anyhow, but I kind of don't want to lose him in a fortress. I think I have to let him go in there. So he moved 2. Now he gets to conduct a siege. If we look at the supply rules, outside the supply segment, supply states worsen if an enemy force moves into a space in the supply path and has more SPs now. The friendly supply source it's formerly traced to has been destroyed, captured, besieged. So this is the only supply source I went to, and it has been taken. So now I get a -1 SS. Now that doesn't immediately do anything to me, but when does my supply improve? I can trace supply in an initial or final supply segment, which means I'm going to have to run away, which is fine. Or I enter a space with a fortress or depot, but that's going to eat the depot if that's what happens. He has 1 movement point left. I don't know what he can do with 1. This is kind of dangerous. I may have wanted to leave a strength point behind. Let's leave a Bavarian behind to garrison that. It's just too easy otherwise. Obviously, there's information that I shouldn't have had as to how I could advance and whatnot. Leave that by the wayside, because I'm still working with how clunky I'm dealing with the system. So now the other one is this guy. Now I could bone him to just one movement point, but I don't want to waste my interrupt for that. I want to waste it down here or something. I want to slow down the dangerous advance, especially since I may not know the French card that's Frankfurt, Passau, and Munich being under control. Right. So Malbois feels pretty safe where he is in terms of not losing his territory that he's in. So I don't know if I really need to garrison that any more than I do Belfort or Strasbourg or whatever. And he gives me 7 movement points when I expend this card. Now I can get rid of the card. And do I need to take Luxembourg? I think it's a good idea for me to take it. No, it's part of the Austrian Netherlands. Never mind. I was very fast there. So I have this army. Well, okay, think. I've got supply here. But see, I can't move up to here because I'd be out of supply. So that's okay. I go 1, 2 to Mainz. I siege Mainz, which I can take for free. It's not worth shit, but that's okay. Now I have a supply source. I wouldn't be able to supply without, I don't know, maybe I would. I move to here for another one. I siege Frankfurt, which I get for free. And now we got to make some change. Now what? I got 2 more points. I could go after Hanover. That would be a dicky move. Or I could cut down towards Bavaria. Or I still can't go for Luxembourg. Freiburg is useless. I don't know what else to do, you know. Frankfurt's the thing I want. Hanover is painful in terms of supplies, but I could move supplies up and take it, and that would actually be kind of potent, maybe. I feel like this is enough to handle up here. Why don't we push ourselves up to Castle? All right. We swing through here. Rally segment, we don't have any problems. Supply segment, where's our supply coming from? We're getting supplies from there. Well, we're actually in Passau. We're getting supplies from there. Here we're getting supplies from Frankfurt. That's okay. We're allowed to supply a small force of French from the Prussians, but this is too big. I'd have to leave quite a bit behind. I want to try to take the Hanoverians out. So yeah, I'm done, and that'll put it on the Brits. Now, are the Brits belligerent? I don't remember. There's no way of noting that. But I think it's a Carteret card, and I don't see anything that looks like I've made them belligerent yet, which means they don't even get a turn. So even though I'm here. Now, is Piedmont belligerent? Piedmont is not belligerent. So we skip over to the event card segment. And that resets this. And starting with Prussia, we play some cards. The card I was interested in is the Treaty of Breslau here. It's a one-time event diplomatic. France and Prussia are allied and may combine forces when both are belligerent. That doesn't sound like what I expected. Oh boy. So now we go to the geopolitics to see what's up with that. I thought there were French-Prussian restrictions. That's interesting. So what's kind of neat here is this implies that France and Prussia are not allied and may not combine forces when they're belligerent normally. Well, that's interesting. Another one of them rules on a card that you may or may not be aware of. Now, Prussia has that card in their hand, so if they're paying attention to their cards, they could tell France, no, you can't join me unless I play this. But what I thought there was, first of all, there's an optional rule, right, that has something to do with Prussia. The way that information is presented, like things that you can and cannot do, this card implying that France and Prussia can't operate together, and no rules that say that, that's problematic. It's not the first time we've seen it. The French SP must be able to trace back to French or Spanish. 5 SP or less may trace to a Prussian source. Prussian must trace to a Prussian source, 5 SP or less to the French. Okay. So that's an optional rule, by the way. Normally, I think I would be able to trace to a Prussian source. I'm not sure. That would be under the supply rules, which we will look up. Supply source is 11.5. Powers and Allied supply tracing. All Danish, Hanoverian, and Hessian are considered British for supply check. Bavarians may trace to French supply sources when allied. Naples, Genoese, and Modena can trace to Spanish. Saxons may trace to their allies of either alliance. That would seem to imply that if it's not in this list, they can't. It doesn't directly say that, but the way this special rule is stated, this optional rule for Prussian and French, right? And they're different players. The way this optional rule was stated is French SPs must trace to French or Spanish sources. Well, that's not allowed here, right? Powers and Allied seems to indicate that you cannot trace to random other players' supply sources, right? That's what it would imply. Okay, so this one's really special. This limited French and Prussian supply sharing seems to both allow French to supply, to coordinate supply fully with the Spaniards and partially with the Prussians, both of which would be disallowed by this rule. That's the only way that I can reconcile those two rules. And of course, I'm doing, a lot of fancy dancing to get to that, right? That's just how these rules work. I'm looking to see if there's anything special beyond that, but I mean, this is the rule. Powers and Allied supply tracing. That is the rule that I think would resolve this issue, right? Of course, what about Dutch? Did we have Dutch in there? No. Now, Dutch don't have a supply source. Like, I don't think they can operate off of depots at all, essentially. Great. I mean, I'm just like... Or maybe everybody can trace off all their allies, and this rule is just a pile of garbage. Because here, wait, what do we got? Only Bavarian troops may trace supply to the fortress of Ingolstadt. Why is this an exception? Bavarians may trace to French supply sources when allied. Nothing about French tracing to Bavarian supplies or anything like that. It seems like this is an exception to the rule that's not here. The rule that says that you can trace to any of your allies and fuck it, none of this matters. This 11.43 doesn't matter, only the exception, like the exception implies something else. Wow, what a bucket of shit this game's rules are. And again, this is the revised rule set. This is the one that, like, they spent a shit ton of money to send out to everybody and make sure that, like, you get a playable game out of this. No, you don't. You don't. I'm sorry. They still fucked it all up. God damn it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do about this. And I'm pretty sure it's not in the current errata. Whatever. That's all I can say. It's just whatever. I don't fucking know. So what am I trying to do? Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if I want to play this. It's not that interesting to me. Which means I look for my other events. Got this defensive pact. It says one-time event. It had better be on here. It is good. I can play that to try to move the Russian marker further down, I guess. Because I don't see any advantage to the French. Honestly, this other card, the Treaty of Breslau, France and Prussia are allied and may combine forces. Is there somewhere where it says they can't? Like, there's not under Prussia, and there's not under France. Hold on, we got something about friendship. Oh, wait. Belligerent forces cannot attack or besiege neutral SPs or fortresses. I thought we could do this in Germany. Like, this is important because I needed to be able to take Frankfurt, right? I have a requirement to take Frankfurt. Oh, shit. Do we have, after France and Spain, Spanish leaders, SPs, and depots can enter neutral Naples? Yeah. After Convention of Hanover, all forces may enter Western. Is that the card that we didn't play? I don't know. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure there's an exception to Germany, to the neutral German spaces. That's got to be somewhere. It's over here. All powers may freely enter light gray Holy Roman Empire and place depots in them. Nothing about capturing them. Well, I need to own Frankfurt, right? What the fuck? I have a card that requires me to own Frankfurt. Diplomatic triumph. I have to control Munich, Passau, and Frankfurt. I can't take Frankfurt. This game is just fucking ridiculous. You know? I'm going to leave this as it is because it doesn't make sense otherwise. I don't know what the hell to do here. I don't see any... Like, I can take away an Austrian national will or whatever. Monarch's will. With this card. And I guess combine Prussian forces with French, which doesn't really do me any good right now. So I'll play the defensive pact, and I'll write that down. On a 1 to 3, I get a Russian bonus. I do. Awesome. No. I already played this. Can't do that. Okay. I'm just going to hold my fucking cards as Prussia. I've already got it written down here. I was about to write it down. Yeah, okay. It kind of works. It kind of works. You play a card, you expose to everybody what you got in your hand, you go to your lookup sheet, and you're like, oops. Fucking hell. I need another fucking break. I'm done. Really am beginning to think that this is an unplayable mess. I really am. I've been giving it, you know, I thought I got over the big hump. I thought I got over that big hump of being able to start moving some stuff around and do stuff. But man, I'm just running into, again, rule after rule that doesn't seem to work, period. And it's like, maybe it does on the vassal module. Okay. They made sure to get that out, apparently during playtesting, from what I can tell. Wouldn't it be nice if they got the rules right instead? Okay, this was here for the reaction card. I believe that I'm here in the event card segment. The question is, did I play a Prussian event card? I did not, so I'm going to reset this and look at them. I was on the verge of quitting last night. Right now it's Friday. I've got about 40 minutes before raid, and probably should be doing other things, but I want to finish up this, get this video up, and then I'll do some soul searching as to whether or not this is the end of it. But chances are that I will come back and try to play at least another campaign season and whatnot. I see. It was the Prussian card play that gave me a meltdown there. I'm gonna throw the Treaty of Breslau. No, fuck it. I'm gonna do what I planned on doing. I'm gonna pass, and we'll go to the Austrians. And so that red die was actually to remind me once again. I've already looked at the Prussians. All I could do was look at one card, and it set me off. Like Austria, we're gonna try the Convention of Turin. Now I gotta check to see. This one you do not mark down, and it makes sense because it's an alliance attempt. Move PE marker 2 spaces towards pragmatics. But Piedmont needs to get all the way down here, but this is special. Roll a die, modified by PE influence value. I don't know what that means. And add 1. PE influence value. Okay. Well, here's what I would say. The PE diplomacy... Oh, sorry. 1, 2. Okay. So this makes sense. So PE influence value is, I guess that value up there, 3 points. It would be minus if it was towards the Bourbons. But I get another +1, so I'm at +3, +4 because Spaniards are in Italy. And if I get an 8 or more total, Piedmont enters the war. I don't think they slide all the way over if that's an issue. I think they just flip over as an ally. Okay. So Piedmont is now in the war, and that will give me an Austrian victory point. Piedmont has its own victory point, so this is, I guess, an event victory point. Putting me there. And this card remains, so I'd be able to pull Piedmont back into the war if somehow they're pulled out. They are just naturally opposed to Spain and France's desires here. Now, this is actually kind of important because it brings up one reason why the seal cards don't make sense, or make sense with the color not representing anything. There are no British Piedmont cards. Like, they would be under no additional restrictions right now. They have all British colored cards right now, whereas and Piedmont will be in the war in 1742. Whereas normally, when does this happen? It'll be next year that the additional deck that includes their cards would come into play. I I don't know if that's that big a deal either way. You know, I mean, there's already rules that say Britain can play their own points for Piedmont, but whatever. Okay. Anyway, the seals don't matter, so screw them. The playable when neutral doesn't matter. And there are lots of things that matter that you can't know unless you happen to be holding the proper card that affect other cards. Some of which have been withdrawn in the errata, some of which have been added in errata post the card changes, I've noticed. And I'm just like, oh, this is getting fucking ridiculous. So I've decided to stop checking rules, stop asking questions. I don't necessarily like the answers I've gotten, so fuck it. All right, on to the French. We should be seeing Charles VII coming in now, I think. A little iffy on this, but the other card that I'd want to play would be to try to bring Saxony back into the war. And that relies on French victory points, and this gives me French victory points. So, it played as an event remove. This is the diplomatic triumph. Charles VII crowned Holy Roman Emperor. I'm not going to write all that out, if that's on here. Okay, it's not. But there's Le Coup Diplomatique, which I don't think is this. Well, we can look by number. This is like France 10. That was late. Yeah. Okay, France 10 doesn't matter. All right. You can play if French Bavarians control Munich, Passau, and Frankfurt. I have gotten all of them. Passau fell just now. Frankfurt fell just now. Munich's been mine for a while. French Bavaria has to have 5 or more victory points. They barely do. Oh, shush up! And either Bourbon Alliance controls Hanover or British Protocol of Neustadt has been played. Oh. Wow, this is more. Come on! I'm trying to do a video here. I don't need to hear you. Okay, let's see. British Protocol of Neustadt has not been played, and I don't control Hanover. I can't play this. All right. Well, if that's the case, I'm not going to get the Saxon alliance card easily, and I really do need them for the Prussians. Like, I don't know what I'm trying to say here. The Saxon alliance card, let's take a look at that. That's my other thing. That's this, an alliance attempt card. Now, I could just roll a die and try to improve my Saxony value, but what I'm really interested in is getting Saxony to join me again. So how would that happen? Move SA influence marker 2 spaces towards Bourbons. That would get it to a -1. If desired, roll 1 die, modified by current SA influence value and subtract French victory points. There are 5 French victory points. If result is -1 or less, Saxon allies. This allows the play of the Augustus Overawed, which I already played because the Prussians had no idea that I was holding this card. Whatever. I may have played a card which allowed it already. Like, there may be multiple cards which allowed it. They're not spelled out on Augustus Overawed, I'll tell you that much. So, I move SA. I don't know. So that's at -1. That gets me to a -6. French victory point. Oh, there's a red thing here. Play a French Bavarian victory points 4 or more. Yeah, it is. So I am at 5, 6 off, which means only on a 6 do I fail. Close. Okay. Saxony is now allied with the Bourbons again and back in the war, and this is not removed, and is not there. Okay, and now we go back to the Brits. The Brits are going to play the Lord Cataract card, England and Dutch join Austria as auxiliary allies. Transfer 3 British infantry SPs. Leaders stare from London. Transfer 3 British infantry and leaders stare from London, and place 3 British infantry and 3 British cavalry in any one Dutch city. So I get Lord Stair and the entire English army, and now this is place 3 more British infantry and 3 British cavalry, and I think it all goes into one city because there's only one Dutch city, and 2 Dutch Cav SPs, leader Waldeck, in any friendly city in the Dutch or Austrian Netherlands. Place 10 Austrian infantry and 10 Austrian CPs, cavalry, in the spring reinforcement blocks. I'll try to get that all done. I can't do it on camera. I had to unload the British Allied Army out of Hanover so that I could place Lord Stair here, and I built the army in Bergen op Zoom because that's not really a threat. It's not important. It's actually it's Antwerp that's important, but you can't do anything about that easily. And I'm going to it's important that I put all the Dutch with the English, and actually getting an extra strength point was kind of valuable too, although not necessary, because that allows Waldeck to be the larger force, the Dutch to have the larger force. So Waldeck's in command, not Lord Stair, who is much worse. And we want to use these Dutch forces, well, this Allied army, to actually help deal with the French incursion into Hanover. That's not a good thing for us. And among other things, because the English chose not to do the Treaty of Neustadt or whatever it is that's on the French card, the Protocol of Neustadt, because they chose not to do that and instead do the Dresden Conference, I think, actually putting the British forces there, Hanover is an issue. The British are in the war, right? So I can't just accept, like, the Brits are not willing to vote, and they must be an elector then. They're not willing to vote for Charles VII here, which I guess is what the situation there is. But now Britain and the Dutch are in the war, and that puts us to what may be an annoying thing, but we did the bad one, the really bad one, right? The attrition. That's already happened. It's the treasure fleet. I don't know. Each of these is going to be kind of painful to do. I don't mind. Here we go. When the treasure fleet is revealed, the French may attempt a treasure voile if it has at least one fleet section in the Atlantic Fleet's box and plays a fleet sortie or fleet sortie marker. If he decides to do so, not to do so, nothing happens. If he attempts a treasure voyage, the British can try to intercept. If the interception succeeds, a naval combat will happen. So we got all kind of stuff happening. I want those extra pieces. It's a big deal. Actually, my only fleet sortie, and I haven't gotten any... I haven't played any ghost cards. I don't know. Did I? I think this was my card play. I actually have a ghost card. Okay, so I don't have to play this. I don't want to play this. I want this card because it's a good battle card. So I had a ghost card which would give me a fleet sortie. Now there should be fleet sortie markers somewhere. Here we go. So I should have had one of these somewhere. I don't know where. I could put it there. Right? I don't know what it's supposed to be like. I don't know what that event box is supposed to be. I don't know where I'm supposed to put this. But I had one of them. Now, the Brits haven't been belligerent, so they cannot possibly have anything. So I'm going to expend this counter that I didn't notice that I'm supposed to have, because again, there's a lot of information on those cards and it's very busy and it's very hard to see. This little ghost ship, I was getting so flustered by other stuff, even though I know to look for that, I did not see it when I played the French card. Probably because I was too busy looking for red text, which I'm never seeing. It just does not stand out. Okay, so now the Brits, who cannot have one of those counters because they haven't been belligerent, I have to look through their deck, see if they have an intercept. They certainly want to intercept this because a French army could just place itself here and cause serious problems to any attempt to relieve Hanover. Being England, I have like 3 different fleet sortie cards in my hand, so that was not a problem. I could have gotten unlucky. But now, naval interception 16.3. Now, I think, I didn't state this, but I think the entire French Atlantic Fleet is helping the treasure fleet here. And the British fleet, which is slightly larger, will come out. So, what were we at? Fleet sortie events and markers, fleet sortie options, all this. Oh, I don't know. Where's the interception? Don't you think there would be a rule for interception jumping out here? Let's look again. Naval interception, 16.3. I forgot my number. Fleet sortie. Okay, it's here. Yeah, it's not jumping out because it's fleet sortie options. Attempts to fight a naval fleet. The player attempting rolls a die and consults the naval interception table. If the attempt succeeds, any number of sections may intercept and a combat is made. Modifiers may apply to both sides. Okay. I don't have time right now. Okay. So, interception succeeds on a 6. Great. We're not bigger. We don't have any of these modifiers here. So the British get it on a 1 through 6. On a 1 through, I'm sorry, the British intercept on a 6 only. Okay, well that was close, but close only counts if Carteret's gone. Or Hawk or someone's there. Okay, so we go back. I mean, I didn't realize the chances were that low, but the Brits have cards up the ass. Ow, these are those armored cards. That's going to hurt. Okay, so what happens? Up to 20 SPs may be placed in the French spring reinforcement box. I'm assuming they're all infantry SPs right now, which is, as opposed to, I'm putting, I don't think I have to make the choice right now, and I'll be getting others that I could exchange as to whether or not I want to exchange some of them for French Cav. Why does it say up to? Because my force pool may be eaten up. So that's the big money. Big money, big prizes comes in. I'll put that there to remind me that it's gone and done. Advanced season, remove all CH that are not stacked and remove all guerrillas. Okay, so all we really do is we move to here. We're going to load this up, I think, just to keep the sizes small. I'm about ready to, play my raid before I go dancing and all that. So, yeah, I'm running a little tight. It's okay, but the game keeps teetering on the edge of the failures of the rules and the failures of the card components to express everything that they need to. Either that they're just, not there, that information is just missing or is too ambiguous or whatever, or, like in the case of the seals, feels like it goes in the wrong direction for my taste. Or it's too obscured within the presentation of the rules, which actually I don't find, I don't usually find myself not able to find the rule I want to. It's that I find a contradiction or I find something that I just can't accept that it can be that way or whatever. Or through the design of the cards, and most notably that there's information on the cards that is meaningless, like the color seals and the playable and neutrals. Absolutely meaningless information, does not need to be there. Whereas there's a lot of busyness in the design of the cards, in the imagery on them, and red text that blends in with that imagery too easily and is too hard to see anyway, at least for me. And then other little pieces of information on the cards that it's just, there's an overload of information that's presented in a way that is often very muted and difficult to observe. These things, you know, along with the fact that the game is like, I don't know, very cumbersome in terms of the amount of special cases and whatnot. So, you know, I say, oh, I can generally find what I want to in the rules. I may not agree with it, but there's a lot of like special case type shit in the rules. There's a lot of, hey, you know, and some of it is contradictory. And that's problematic by no means. And then also there's a lot of mechanical pain in terms of maintaining the force pool. Now that's my choice to do, but if I don't maintain the force pool, how am I going to know if I've exceeded the maximum army size? You know, I don't know if it's likely that armies will exceed their maximum size. It looks possible, like without that constraint, and that would be a really very wrong thing, I guess. You know, I mean, there's only so much manpower that the nation has that it could tap, even if it had a lot of other resources. Of course, that's a little fuzzy. You know, you could make arguments that they're German mercenaries and everything, you know, some, and certainly Swiss and whatnot. And yeah, but first of all, they're probably accounted for. You know, there were small amounts. It's not like pulling up the national, you know, forces themselves. And we're not talking about like Revolutionary era size armies here, but we are talking about relatively large armies compared to whatever came before. I think we had about as big in the Marlborough era, but everything, yeah, I think they got a little bigger here. But, you know, everything before that, until you get like into some ancient and sometimes very disputable type army sizes, was tiny comparatively to, you know, what you're seeing in this century. All right, let's send this up.